Absolutely massive news. Down goes another DEI program. This time, again, preemptively, Ford Motor Company had caught wind that Robby Starbuck, which, by the way, you should be following on X if you haven't, they found out that Robby Starbuck was investigating them, and they preemptively dropped everything this morning. This is a testament to your power as a viewer, as a voice, as a consumer. The left for years had pushed this nonsense on people and wanted you to think that your voice didn't matter because they had control of most social media. X, being purchased by Elon Musk, was the first major swing in the fight back against this stuff because brands could no longer filter you out as easily. Your voices weren't as easily hidden, but now it appears Ford has been doing some nefarious things behind the scenes. By the way, spend money with companies that don't hate you. I'll spare you the long spiel. If you haven't yet, download the Veebs app. Give it a try. If you use code 4444, you get a free trial. It's only $1 a month anyway. I use the app myself. It has a UPC scanner, so you can just scan a potential product that you're buying and figure out if the company hates you or not. You can see if it aligns with your values. You set up kind of what you want out of a company. You scan it. Now they've added like big trip, like hotels and stuff like that, travel stuff. This is a great, powerful app. This is how we win against stuff. You start making small decisions every day. Maybe you figure out which band of pistachios aligns with you in a particular week. Then next week you figure out paper plates. The next week you figure out soup. And the next week you figure out this. And then by the end of the year, you're no longer giving money to people who hate you. And that is a great feeling. Robby Starbuck. The Veebs app is available on Android and iPhone. So grab it after this video. Big news. We're in the middle of investigating woke policies at Ford. But this morning, Ford confirmed to me that they are in fact making changes. Robby Starbuck went from having to have weeks-long social media campaigns against John Deere, Tractor Supply, and Harley Davidson to now simply these companies are seeing that he's looking at their LinkedIn pages and they're making the adjustment. Here are the changes. Ford is ending participation in the HRC's Woke Corporate Equality Index. This is the kind of like your woke social credit score, like, oh, are you hiring enough LGBT people? Are you sponsoring enough drag for kids stuff? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And they were giving people a score. One thing that nobody's talking about that Robby's doing, by the way, if you want to support Robby, you can subscribe to him on Twitter, which is what I've done. And it supports his work. But anyway, he's kind of taking down this HRC's power. Like there's not a lot that this company can do now. It's like people are just trolling the HRC list and then they're figuring out which companies to target next. It sounds like there will be no more donations to pride events or other divisive events. ERG groups must now be focused on business. There will be no supplier or dealership diversity quotas. CEO calls for respect and civility towards all ideologies. Hints at merit-based approach. Let's take a little bit of his video here.
I'm excited to announce another win in our movement to eliminate wokeness in corporate America. You might remember this guy, James Farley. He is the CEO at Ford Motor Company. However, he is also on the board of Harley Davidson, a company that we focused our efforts on for a very long time and flipped on many woke policies. On the board of Ford is CEO John May of John Deere, who we also changed on policy. James here is acutely aware of exactly what we're doing. In the process of creating a story about Ford's embrace of corporate wokeness, we've been poking around Ford Motor Company's employee LinkedIn pages. But wouldn't you know it, before we were able to put a story out, we received this email from an anonymous source this morning that apparently was sent throughout the corporation. Here's what it says. We'll start with this. Ford admits that the environment right now related to political and social issues continues to evolve. That's corporate speak for
we're
the
changing.
stuff we were doing in the past is not going to be acceptable anymore. In the past year, we've taken a fresh look at policies and practices to ensure that they support our values, drive business results, and take into account the current landscape. Here's what you should know. In an extremely wise move, Ford says here that essentially they're going to stop talking about the polarizing issues of the day and stick to the core business. They also say here,
that's all we want, by the way. it's not like I care that much about, like, I don't care if the owners of a company like Ford, in their own, personal capacity or whatever, decide to donate money to a certain political party. They're allowed to do that. I legitimately don't care. However, when they start telling their customers how they should vote, or telling their employees how they should vote, or any of these type things, that's when I have a problem. I think that's when most normal people have a problem too. Like, I don't have an issue with the order, I don't have an issue with the owner of Ford or the owner of Harley or the CEO or whatever making political donations. I don't care. Just keep it out of the company.
They will no longer be using supplier diversity quotas or dealership diversity quotas. Based on this, it appears they're going to refocus on merit. Being totally candid, this part about ERGs seems to be some fluff. Honestly, I don't believe they're really changing much with the ERGs, but they're essentially saying ERGs are open to all employees. If you divide them on identity politics lines, they're still useless and divisive.
ERGs are employee resource groups, if I remember correctly, and which is by themselves not an issue. Okay. But the problem with them is they'll often do, like, Uber has this, and certain other companies have this, where it's like, Black Uber drivers group and Latinx Uber driver groups. And what it does is it just spreads division inside of the company itself.
Nobody needs a club for what kind of sex they like at work. It's just
exactly
weird, okay? I don't care if you're gay or straight. This part here just seems like clever corporate language to say we are not funding pride parades without explicitly saying it, because they don't want to make certain people angry. But it says here, we will direct our philanthropic efforts to areas where we can make the biggest positive difference for the most people, including education for the future of work, entrepreneurship, and essential services, such as our support of and volunteer work with Team Rubicon, the veteran-led group dedicated to disaster recovery. And now my favorite part. They are leaving the HRC. They will no longer be taking part in the HRC's Corporate Equality Index woke social credit system. This social credit system, called the Corporate Equality Index, is one of the number 1 reasons that corporations have gone woke.
You want to have a high score based on that, so that Wall Street, big globalist money in Wall Street, will invest in your company. That's why it's important. That's why all these companies, every one of these companies, at least recently, I know Harley for sure. I'm pretty sure Jack Daniels also said that they are leaving this group. The less power that the HRC has, the less incentive there is for companies to go woke in the first place.
Removing yourselves from it, especially when that organization is explicitly political, is a fantastic move for every corporation. Every company should do this, because at the end of the day, the HRC is not aligned with core customers if you have even one conservative customer walking through your door. The letter ends with this note from the CEO. Issues and events around the world evoke strong emotions and affect us as individuals in different ways. And while we may have differences of opinion, we can treat each other with respect and civility, recognizing how much we have in common as colleagues and friends. This sounds to me like a company embracing neutrality. However, I want everybody to know we are eagle-eyed about these companies. We have sources inside every company we expose, and we will continue to watch them. If any of these companies step out of line and do something crazy, we will report on it, and it will be far worse than the first time. If you love the work we're doing to expose wokeness in corporate America and eliminate it, you can support our research by subscribing on my X page for $5 a month. That helps fund our researchers so we can continue to stop wokeness in corporate America. Last thing, if you're a corporate executive watching, what is it that we want? This movement wants something very simple: neutrality and sanity in the workplace again. So
that's one of the common misconceptions, or when, for example, the left categorizes this kind of push and things of that nature. They say, like, oh, it's a right-wing thing. They want right. No. And I can speak for Robby here because I had him on the show last week and we both agree on this. We don't want, Ford Motor Group or any of these other companies to enact right-wing ideology. We just want them to make the donut. We just want them to, make the product without pushing politics and ideology. Look at just the last 6 months and take a moment to think about how powerful your message and your sharing of things has been. Ford, Harley Davidson, Jack Daniels, John Deere, Tractor Supply, all of these companies for the past however many years, right, have been engaging in this stuff. And it's basically been, happening right underneath our noses. You know, some company sponsors some pride parade in a different state. It's hard to keep track of that kind of stuff. And I don't even necessarily care if a company, throws money to some pride fest. I don't care about that, just as long as it's not like for kids or anything inappropriate. Just as long as they're also donating to like veterans and, they're spreading their money evenly. I don't have a problem with that in general. But it's these policies where they hire people who incentivize their entire jobs around, we're going to talk about in a video later today, Disney secretly quadrupling down on wokeness and a new job listing that hit the internet that's absolutely hilarious. When they do that kind of stuff, when they start saying, hey, our product has to have X number of black people working on it and X number of deaf people working on it, and we have to buy our parts from X number of minorities. That does not reward high quality. If you're building a motorcycle like Harley or you're building a truck like Ford, I don't care if the people you buy my fuel injectors from is purple. I don't care if they're black, white, Asian, purple. It doesn't matter. It also doesn't matter to me if they're gay or straight. It just doesn't matter. I care that you're buying the best possible quality part. And when you have people in these companies from the top down that are financially incentivized to push this kind of nonsense, that's when you have a problem. When you start incentivizing divisive woke ideology and politics, then that's what you get. And your product quality goes down. We've seen this in Hollywood. We've seen this in video games. We've seen this now with look at John Deere. Ask anybody who bought a John Deere 20 years ago versus what they are now. How about Boeing airplanes having doors flying off mid-flight? I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that if you're focusing on DEI, that's an effort that you are putting in a finite amount of time that you could be focusing on quality. And that's what people of all walks of life actually want from their companies. I guess semi-congrats to Ford here for preemptive strike. I know the watchful eye of Robby Starbuck will be on them. I also know that Robby's got another big expose coming out. Might be tomorrow or something like that. But sanity is winning. Keep sharing the videos. Keep a watchful eye. You can always email me at thequartering@gmail.com as well, anonymously, if you're working for a company that has this kind of stuff going on in it. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you again real soon.